Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another Unrivaled video. In this video, we are going to talk about the declining viewership, why it's declining. We're going to talk about some of the games that have happened, and we're going to talk about the players and their impact on people watching, and some other things I have written down. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. Now, here at the top, I do want to make it very clear that I'm not hating on women's sports. I am a women's sports enjoyer. I love watching women's sports. I've been watching women's basketball for 10 plus years now, and I actually have some like investment in these girls, in these women that I watch. The players in front of you are some of the players I like. Top left, Kelsey Plum with the ball in her hand. She was the person who got me into women's basketball when she was at Washington. Now she's been in the WNBA for many years. This is her first Unrivaled season. So I do have I have a lot of stock in these players, and I want to see them succeed, and I want to see women's sports succeed, more specifically women's basketball, because that's the sport I love in general. But man, Unrivaled has hit I'll say, we'll call it a roadblock for now, because I think there are some things that are contributing to the downshift, the downward trajectory in viewership. And to be completely transparent, I've probably watched every single game thus far. I think it's been like 3 weeks, right? This is the third week. You guys are getting this on the third weekend, I believe, yeah, or the fourth weekend of Unrivaled basketball. And I've watched every single game, and I've enjoyed it. I am a Unrivaled enjoyer. The league started by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, along with some other people, has been, in my opinion, very entertaining. But it's not entertaining for everybody. It's 3-on-3 full court basketball. And the first season, last season, it was a novelty. It was cool. It was different. And now moving into season two, at the beginning of season two here, they had two more clubs, to bring the total up from what it was last year to what it is now. That means more games, an extra night of games. And they play down in Miami, for those who do not know. And they are making a trip up to Philly. I don't think it's obviously not this weekend. It might be the weekend after that or in the start of February. But predominantly they play in Miami, and I think the product has been good. The product has been very good. I like a lot of the players, like I said, but one of the reasons why the viewership is down, I think, is because the exit of Angel Reese. She played in the inaugural season last season. She is not playing this season, and she is one of the bigger names that they could have plastered on all the posters and all the media, whether it be regular media or on social media. And they've lost a bit of their juice. Nafisa Collier out this Unrivaled season with double ankle surgery. Not great. She's one of the bigger name draws. Caitlin Clark not playing in the league, not even entertaining the idea of playing in the league. Asia Wilson not even entertaining the idea of playing in the league after coming off a championship. These are players that would bring eyes to the league. And as much as I like some of these players personally, on a personal level, like I genuinely um, like Kelsey Plum. I have a deep respect for her. I like Cam Brink. I like Sinai Rivers. I like some of the players that I mentioned that aren't playing in the league. For a lot of people, the players that I mentioned that aren't playing in the league are the only reason they watch women's basketball. And you can say that's for whatever reason. But I genuinely believe that this league doesn't succeed without bringing in bigger names. And it's not even about this league providing a platform for these other players to get some shine without the big names being there. Obviously, if the bigger names aren't there, then it trickles down and everybody gets a little bit of um, more fan base, um, because it's 3-on-3. it's a more intimate setting. If you've ever seen the Unrivaled games, it's more intimate. It's a very small arena. It's from like 900, not even an arena, like the building is like 950 seating to 1,000 seating people in the arena, in the building at one time. So it's a very intimate setting, and you can really get to know these players on a personal level. I think the Unrivaled social media and the individual teams do a very good job at showing like a more human side, a more like intimate side of these players, like a fun, we're all just hanging out in Miami and playing basketball sort of vibe, and it's cool to like the average fan. I think that's enough to get them involved, but is it enough for them? This is the second part, or the extra part that I'm going to get to here is that enough to get somebody to say, hey, I'm going to not watch, the NFL this weekend, or I'm not going to watch college football this weekend, or I'm not going to watch whatever other sport is on this weekend, men's basketball this weekend, and I'm going to go watch Unrivaled, which the Unrivaled games they normally play two a night. The games are about maybe like an hour a piece, maybe like 50 minutes a piece. That's 2 hours of your time. They have some pretty good time slots, in my opinion. They don't run too late, but I don't. I don't think the average person is sitting down watching Unrivaled versus watching another American sport that is has been around longer. And the other thing contributing to the viewership being down is what sort of sparked this conversation and why I'm making this video and why you'll probably see if you're in this space, this women's basketball space or any basketball space or in the orbit of any basketball space, you'll see a bunch of these videos. Mine's not going to be titled like that, but like why Unrivaled is failing or it's over for Unrivaled or blah blah blah, like these clickbait titles, is mainly because of the viewership numbers that came out. Um, Not mostly this past week, but the weekend before that weren't good. I sort of waited on this video. Um, I sat on it because I was like, well, there's college football going on, there's NFL wild card games going on, there's all this stuff going on, and then I came to realize maybe it was on my fault that like this next Monday will be the um, college football championship game on Monday night, and guess who plays on Monday night? Unrivaled plays on Monday night. So Unrivaled has picked the worst time to sort of operate their business during the end of the college football season when everybody wants to watch college football, doing NFL wild card, end of regular season and the postseason stuff, and that's why their numbers are down. And the numbers are down basically what boils down to. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but you guys really don't need to know that. All you need to know is that um, they're down because they only count cable numbers, like basic cable numbers. They don't count streaming. They don't count rewatches on HBO Max. Um, they just don't, and the numbers look bad. I I will link an article down below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves, but it looks bad. It's not great, and the only thing about Unrivaled that is positive, that always maintains positive, is that this league is so women who are basically most for the most part American born who get to stay home during the off season. They don't have to go overseas to get their check. They get paid a handsome amount to play on Unrivaled. They get a little bit of equity. It's like a percentile of equity from what I hear. And they get state of the art stuff. They get a daycare for those who are mothers and whatever. They get all this positive stuff, and it's a great launching pad for players to develop their skills. And I had a whole video about players I was excited to see and what they could do. And I think a lot of them that I mentioned in that video have been doing very well. And that's the positive of it. The negative of it, however, is that I don't feel confident saying this league is sustainable. And we'll get into that in a minute. Um, I just want to circle back to the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Asia Wilson discussion because um, this league needs somebody like that, to bring fans to Unrivaled. Um, I see a lot of things online that are people that are like, "Oh, I'm reselling tickets for this Unrivaled game X date, blah blah blah." Is that just people not wanting to go? Is that just people having a something come up? I don't know. I think if one of these players were to join the league would be better off. And that's no disrespect to any of the girls you see in front of you, any of the women involved in this. I just think that's a matter of that's just the way it is. Big names sell big ticket numbers, and big ticket numbers means your league is successful. And when you don't have these names, when you just have the biggest name here, I don't want to say the biggest name, but the hottest name is Paige Beckers, and she's on the newly formed expansion team, the Breeze, in the purple jerseys you can see in front of you. And the Breeze is probably the, the hot ticket item, for this league. They're full of young, personable, exciting players, and to me, it seems like that doesn't even help. Um, Paige Beckers brings all the UConn fans, all the Dallas fans, from her collegiate days, from her WNBA season this past season, and it doesn't seem enough. It doesn't seem like Paige Beckers is that big of a draw, like you would think she is. And I like Paige Beckers. I'm more of a Caitlin Clark person personally. Um, I, I don't think this is gonna sound so bad. This is a whole nother video, but I don't think Paige is that special. I think her fan base, I think the people she brings together, I think the eye she brings to the game is one thing. I think her play on the court is another thing. But this just goes to show Paige Beckers isn't that big of a name like you think it is. You know, you see her everywhere. People talk about her like she's the second coming of like Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird, and I really don't think she is. And I think this league is sort of exposing that like she does bring a lot of attention to whatever she's doing. She's a Nike athlete. She has so many sponsorships. She's involved in so many things, but doesn't bring people to watch the games. And when I'm online and I see a lot of people talking about how they consume Unrivaled, it's usually rewatches, it's usually streaming. I'm the very rare case of I still have cable. I watch a lot of my games on cable still. Um, some of them I don't. But Unrivaled is one of those ones where I'm like, oh, it's on TNT. I still got TNT. Let me flip it on. I'll put it on, watch the two games, and then call it a night, right? And then maybe check out something else later in the night. But I watch it for the basketball. I'm just a basketball junkie. I love watching basketball. I watch any form of basketball except high school basketball. High school basketball is just sloppy to me, but that's whatever. Um, I like watching basketball. The average person probably turns this on and sees some of the teams that are playing, some of the teams that are really bad, and some of the teams that are really good. Might just turn it off. Um, I'm not particularly thrilled. I don't think a lot of the fans are particularly thrilled with the roster construction, and people have been complaining about the roster construction since like the second week of the league, of the second week of the second year of this league. Um, we talked about the Unrivaled draft that they had at the beginning of the season, um, having to incorporate these new teams and having to integrate these new players, and you could only keep 2 to 3 players from the past year. And one of the biggest complaints I see is that like the reason why people aren't watching, one, the biggest one to a lot of people is that the continuity of the team. Like the team turnover this year has been sort of jarring, more jarring than you think it would be. Personally, I just root for the players. The first year of this league, I just rooted for players. I didn't really have a team. This year, I'm a Phantom fan because of Kelsey Plum, because of Aaliyah Boston, because of Geeky Area Finn, because of a lot of the players they have. So I just I root for them. But if you have a team from last year that you rooted for and it sort of got like dismantled a little bit, you're kind of like disappointed that you don't get to have your team back to run it back to go like oh, we lost in the playoffs, we want to go win the championship this year, kind of don't have that opportunity. And some people are very disappointed that they don't have that opportunity to root for that team again, because the team they rooted for isn't the same team, and that's sports. But the turnover, like literally having to lose your players, is different than your player just walking away from the team, like you would in any other sports league or any other major sports league. This is sort of I don't want to say a minor sports league, but a growing sports league. And I can sympathize with that. I really can. I feel like I don't have a problem with the rosters. Some of these rosters are downright disgusting. Like, and it gives opportunities to other players. Like you see, middle left of your screen, number 3 on the Owls, the Lunar Owls, Marina Maybury, um, tops and assists. I don't think she would do that in the WNBA, but she's having the opportunity here on Unrivaled to do it. Her teammate, um, Aaliyah Edwards, playing very well, like I had hoped, having a really good start to the season. It brings opportunity to players, to expand their game, to work on their game. And I think that's a cool part about it. Having to watch a game that maybe won't be as competitive as you think it um, is not fun. If a team's blowing out another team, it's just not fun. And the other thing that I've noticed is that like a lot of these players get in foul trouble, and maybe that's just because it's 3-on-3. It's a sort of different. It's a very different style of basketball, but a lot of them are in foul trouble. A lot of them can't stay in the game, and it's sort of disappointing to see some of these teams that were slightly competitive last year just be not competitive at all. Um, yeah, I I think let me gather my thoughts here real quick. The other thing that doesn't help is that some of these players that have signed up to play aren't initially healthy off the bat. And what I do want to get back to here with this train of thought is that players that signed to play with Unrivaled came in sort of unhealthy, and they're sort of resting and then waiting to get 100% healthy to play on Unrivaled. You see him on the bench, Skylar Diggins, um, Kalia Copper, who I believe just played one game and she got injured and she's waiting to come back. Um, these players are sort of waiting in the wings, and my thought process behind the viewership being down and all the stuff besides the things I've already said is that I think after as we get towards mid-season NBA basketball, as the college football playoffs ends, as the NFL sort of rounds into the playoff form, where there are only like 1 or 2 games on a weekend, um, or yeah, Monday night or Friday or Thursday night football, Unrivaled can find its groove, and with these players coming back, maybe the viewership can go up a little bit. But I have belief that this league will be, the word successful doesn't come to mind, but sustainable enough. And I'm hesitant to say successful because we do have to talk about this part of it is that Unrivaled is sort of fighting this uphill battle against the big corporation, which is the WNBA, funded by the NBA. And I've come to realize in my age watching basketball, and as basketball has gone further away from being a natural sport to a business, especially in the NBA, especially in the WNBA, as WNBA fans are finding out, big business always wins, no matter what. You don't mess with the big business. You don't mess with the big business that's paying you. In some situations, you just say, hey, sometimes you gotta sit on your hands and say, maybe I shouldn't say something here, or maybe this is a fight we can't win. And the other thing that I've sort of realized, and a lot of people have realized, and um, somebody else in this space that I watch, I don't want to say frequently, but sometimes, Rachel Demita, who does the Courtside Club, mentioned is that like, and what I was thinking too, and she articulated it beautifully was, um, if the CBA comes together, right? The way everybody, we'll say the way everybody wants it, right? The players want it, the league wants it, it all comes together beautifully. And um, we have a new CBA for the WNBA, and it's like a 5-year CBA, and like everything's going to be smooth sailing for the next 5 years, right? Heading into the 2030s. Unrivaled might not make it because with what everybody wants and what we've all heard from the players and even from the league is that the players want more pay, they want longer deals, they want better care overall, and they want a better league for the future, a better league for the players. We'll put it that way, because the players are the product, and the product should be compensated and treated fairly, or even above fairly. And what the league wants is more games, more teams, um, more everything, on their end of the business end of things. And what that means collaboratively, if everything comes together, more games means more pay. More pay means more teams. More teams means more games. And when you have more games, that means more miles on the body. More miles on the body means, hey, you know what, this offseason league that's 3-on-3, maybe we don't want to play that. Maybe I don't need the money, Maybe this isn't something I want to do in the offseason all the time. And this league that we know as Unrivaled might be rivaled. That's such a terrible joke. Um, and they might just have to be eaten by the WNBA, and by eaten I mean like collected by the WNBA and be used as like a farm system league, so to speak, And I really don't know how Unrivaled wins this battle, especially when you have one of their co-founders in Nafisa Collier, who's also a player in this league and the WNBA, and is also involved in the Players Association in the WNBA. Has a lot of pots on the boil right now. Um, she has come out and been very aggressive, very negative towards the WNBA, and she had a comment live on air where she was like, "I know what it takes to run a business, um, and we know what we're worth." Directing it towards sort of Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, and the WNBA, where she's sort of like, "I know what it takes," and in the moment when I watched it live, I was watching that game. I was like, this isn't gonna go well. People aren't gonna like this. I didn't like it at the time. I still don't like it. And the thing is, like, I think these players, and this is no disrespect towards Nafisa Collier, it's a little bit disrespectful, but this is my channel. I can do whatever the hell I want. Um, you're in over your head. You know what I mean? You're just in over your head. Um, Speaking so frankly of a league that's a certain amount of teams that isn't even half of the WNBA teams, I don't think, that sure you play players more, you play less games, you only operate in one place, well, two places this year, Miami and Philly, and you don't have to organize flights, you don't have to do all this stuff. Your viewership is down. I'm not saying the classic, what would be called shut up and dribble, because that's disrespectful, but don't write checks that somebody else is gonna have to cash. You are going to have to cash this check. And if this league fails, people are going to pull these clips up because the WNBA is going to keep going no matter what. It's going to keep going. If Adam Silver from the NBA has to step in, if the NBA has to do something to finagle you guys to get a deal done on both sides, the WNBA and the WNBA PBA or PA, Players Association, they're going to get it done. You having a league that's only been around for 2 years versus a league that's been around for was it 30 years now? The WNBA, close to 30 years, more than 30 years. Is sort of tongue in cheek, like apples to oranges. Like, I really don't care what you've done in 2 years. Show me what you've done in 10 years, if your league is even around in 10 years. You know what I mean? Anybody can start up a league, anybody can claim they're successful for 1 year. I need to see, not just me, I'm using me as an example. I need to see progressive growth. I need to see things that are actually tangible. And the views are tangible. The enjoyment of the game for me personally as a fan. I enjoy 3-on-3 basketball. I sort of I don't enjoy what is the big three, um, as a thing. That's sort of the men's side of it. That's for like retired players and like players that are like, I believe 30 or older is the cutoff. Um, that's the men's side of it. the women's side of it. I enjoy this. I enjoy this format more. Full court 3-on-3, where you have more teams, where maybe just because I'm connected to the players more, I enjoy it more than the big three, which is another league, like I said. But I don't think I think it's so hard, and people might misconstrue this because I have said this on other platforms, and people have like come at me and be like, "Why are you defending the WNBA?" I'm not defending the WNBA. I'm telling you the facts. I'm telling you that the WNBA is going to win in the end. And what the WNBA wants as well is like if they can't come to an agreement with Unrivaled and whatever, the WNBA is going to try their hardest to get, hey, if you sign a WNBA contract, you cannot participate in any other league that is not sanctioned by us. That's just the facts. That's just what's going to happen if you can't come to an agreement like that. And if you get everything you want, and that's the only stipulation the WNBA has, the players are going to have to take it, and Unrivaled is going to have to fold essentially. And I don't want Unrivaled to fold. I want Unrivaled to succeed. But I think Nafisa Collier and these other people trying to compare themselves to the WNBA and trying to like almost like shoo the WNBA away and be like, hey, look what we got. It's working. If anybody in business has access to your numbers, like we all do, we can see the viewers are down. We can see it's down. You know why? Because you don't have Angel Reese. You don't have Caitlin Clark. You don't have Asia Wilson. You know who has those players? The WNBA. Everybody, everybody in any sport wants to be at the highest level, right? Nobody cares that you're an unrivaled champion. No girl out there is dreaming of being an unrivaled champion when she's at her high school basketball game. She wants to be a WNBA champion. That's the other thing about this, but that's a whole nother bag of snakes that I want to get into right now. And I think that's it. I think that's really it. I do have an article up here, but this is more of a feel out video, sort of get my thoughts out here. Um, I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say. If you have any uh, opinions that agree with me or disagree with me, please leave them down below. I'm open to any and all um, conversation, really. Um, I'll link this article down below if you guys want to read it and check it out. But one quote here from the other co-founder, Brianna Stewart. Um, Co-founder Brianna Stewart addressed the measure of success for the league in year two. TV ratings are one thing for sure. She continues, obviously, you want them to be consistently high, no matter if we play on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and know that we have a space of here for our own in a league in the league of sports, people aren't typically used to seeing women's professional basketball at this time unless you're watching EuroLeague or something like that. So ratings is a huge one for sure. Um, I really like I've really I've really liked the way Brianna Stewart has handled a lot of this stuff. Um, as somebody involved in the CBA negotiations, as somebody involved in Unrivaled, obviously. I've really liked the way Brianna Stewart has handled things versus the way Nafisa Collier has handled things, just on a personal level. And somebody who now covers this a lot and even was a fan before, um, Brianna Stewart seems a lot more level headed and a lot more conscious of, hey, and this is gonna sound so bad. It sounds a lot more articulate in the fashion of like, hey, we understand this is not the usual time frame for women's basketball. This is not the typical time slots for women's basketball and all that stuff. The other thought I had that reminded me while I was reading this was that Project B is still happening. And Project B is another alternative league to the WNBA, an actual like alternative league, not like this unrivaled thing that's sort of a side hustle. The Project B is actively trying to steal WNBA players. And that's a whole nother thing. I have a whole video about that. I'll put a card in the top right corner if you guys want to check that video out as well. I think it's still pretty up to date and accurate. Um, I'll put it up there. Just click it. You can watch that video too after we're done with this one. Um, but that's another league that I feel like is even worse than Unrivaled. It's a Saudi league, quote unquote, supposedly, all that stuff, um, unconfirmed. Definitely PIF money. Um, but that league is something else that if I had to pick like the hierarchy of things and the way I would have things, I would have the WNBA on top. I would have Unrivaled as like a subsidiary of the WNBA, whether it's like a farm league or like a bonus sort of deal that like, hey, if you want to get some more reps in the summer, you can go play on Unrivaled, but you're still attached to a WNBA team. It's worked into the CBA, and then I would have like Project B as like this whole mess that doesn't even last like 3 to 4 years. Um, but that's a whole nother thing. I just wanted to put that here at the end because what Brianna Stewart said with like views being was it views ratings, TV ratings are a huge thing for sure, because a lot of people still use TV. I know a lot of people of my generation in their 20s cut the cable, cut the cord, and just do streaming stuff. Um, but for me, I don't understand, and this is another thing. This is a little tangent here at the end. Um, I don't understand how Project B is going to get people to watch because they're having games all over the world at different times with mostly American players, but they have this huge, I believe it's a Chinese or Japanese player, I forget which one it is. I think it's Japanese player. Um, also has joined the league. She announced that recently. Um, I don't get how a mostly predominantly American player league with some foreign players is going to get people to watch. Because if you think Unrivaled has a problem with people watching, you think people from America are going to tune in to watch Alyssa Thomas? No offense to Alyssa Thomas. I'm not the biggest Alyssa Thomas fan, but I'm not turning on a game just for Alyssa Thomas. Like little washed, little old Jewel Lloyd. I don't know about that. And then like you have NECA, or yeah, it's NECA also in that league. I just don't know. It's gonna be at weird times. The time zone difference is gonna be weird. I really don't know. So this has been an ongoing conversation for almost like a year now. I think I have videos this time last year talking about this stuff of like these alternative leagues that just like they never work. They never work when, especially, it's different in like Europe because they have like different, the Premier League, the other this league, and there are different levels to this stuff and different varyings of success. But when you have some of the oldest leagues in America that have been successful, no matter how much you think the product is good now or whatever, um, they will always win. The NBA always wins. The NFL always wins. The PGA Tour always wins. When these leagues have been around for decades, almost centuries, war centuries, um, they always win. And I'm all for like supporting these leagues. Obviously, like I said here, I support Unrivaled. I watch every game. That's just because I'm a basketball guy. I like watching basketball. I do. And if the product's good, I'll watch it. But to try to like puff out your chest and try to think you're bigger and badder than the biggest business out there, who is now has billionaires involved, the NBA, MLB, who just flash their cash and say, "Oh, we got a problem. Okay, let's solve this problem." And then when the league is worth billions and you're only worth millions, you're gonna get eaten alive at some point unless you sort of shake hands or bend the knee. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. Um, Sorry if this came off sort of mean. I always feel like I need to be a little bit softer in these like women's videos. By softer, I mean like a bit nicer. But this video is sort of something that like is a hot topic, and I am a fan. I'm going to keep saying it. I am a fan. I'm not this guy who's just coming here to talk about women's basketball in a negative way. I like women's basketball. I have a whole playlist about women's basketball, and I think it's important for people who are actually involved in women's basketball have an opinion versus somebody just like throwing up a video on YouTube just for the clicks. And like I said, the headlines, the clickbait, don't fall for that. Um, I give my raw and true opinion here, and I hope you guys enjoy. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.